Overall, is this a decent print that you think maybe the street is having a sigh of relief here?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've always found interesting about Tesla's operations in China is, as short-lived as they may be so far, is that even when they suffer some setbacks or apparent setbacks from the outside, including shutdowns related to COVID, they're always able to sort of find a way to hike up that production by the end of the quarter. And so I think we're seeing probably a little bit of a sigh of relief that they weren't hit as hard as people might have thought they were by the shutdowns recently.
When we talk, though, about some of the supply chain issues, there's been a lot of reporting, of course, about how Tesla was able to kind of navigate at least the early part of the pandemic with regards to the shortage in chips, the idea that some parts and other components that they stockpiled here. Do you have any sense here of sort of what the ramp is now going forward with regards to their supply, whether they have it now or they have enough contracts in place to get what they need?
That's a really good question. I actually hope we hear that on the call tonight. They've done some really creative work, at least as far as they've shared on previous calls, on working around some of the chips that they use and reprogramming, rewriting software to fit different chips that they were able to get. So they were able to, at the capacity that they're working at and have been working at the past couple quarters, and along that growth curve, they've been able to manage. But they're still talking about incredible ramp ups at the new factories in Austin and Germany. And so that's going to be a big question going forward.
We know, Sean, that the company has experienced inflationary pressures, rising costs of commodities throughout the supply chain. The company, though, did say that automotive gross margin for the first quarter was 32.9%, beating estimates of 28.4%, and gross margin in 29% versus 25.8% overall. What does that tell you about pricing power that Tesla has to pass on those costs to consumers? They're willing to pay more.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we've learned over the last 2 years, but especially the last year, is that if people get spooked by some of those price increases, which Tesla's been doing for a long time now, ever since they introduced the Model 3, and it was a little bit north of that originally promised $35,000 price tag, every time they move that number up, even if people get scared away, there are more people waiting in line behind them to buy it. And so, and to add on top of that, to pay some money for some of the more advanced partial autonomy features, and a smaller percentage of those people willing to pay for the promise of full self-driving. But yeah, I mean, we're just seeing the story with Tesla really has always been trying to ramp up production so they could meet the sort of demand that outstrips that production rate.